Hi, I'm Greg Jones Ellis, playwright and actor and proud member of the Alliance of LA Playwrights, or ALAP. And I invite you to look at the following video to learn more about ALAP and our upcoming fall festival, PANDRAMATICA. I was sitting on an easy chair at 10 years old, and my mother came in with a catalog of summer programs, dropped it in my lap, and said, "You're not going to sit around all summer. Pick something and you can take a class." So I took something that was called Drama for Kids, which was sponsored by the county and which was run by this amazing dynamo of a woman who is still my friend to this day, Flo Ormond. And long story short, the minute I got involved with it, I fell in love with it. And that was when I was 10 years old, and that's a long time ago. I fell in love with writing, I think, as a way of, as a kid, as a way of putting things down that I wanted to say that I didn't think that I could say out loud. And that started to take the form of some kind of stories, fiction. And then when I became involved with theater, which I did at a very young age, and I became sort of a kid actor as well, then I started writing in a dramatic form. And some of it was very pragmatic as a young man. For instance, I was then teaching as a teenager. I was teaching drama to kids, and I needed to find a play that the kids could do together, and I needed to find one that had good parts for all the kids. So I wrote one, and so that became the genesis for my wanting to write in the dramatic form. And then over time, being involved both as a performer and as a writer, I found that I had stories that I thought could only happen appropriately if they were dramatized live on stage. And so I started becoming obsessed with putting them into the dramatic form. The theater experience is like no other. The theater experience allows the audience, and I'd like to use a different word from audience, but I can't think of it. They allow, when you see live theater, whether you realize it or not as an audience member, you are actually participating actively in the drama itself. And that happens, even in movies, that doesn't happen because the actors can't respond back to whatever you're giving them. But live theater really allows everyone in that room to be an active participant in what is going on, in that moment. What's unique about writing for the theater or performing in the theater, I think, is that you are constrained in a way, right, by the space in which you are performing if you're a performer, and by the space in which your play will be mounted as a playwright. That has, of course, really become quite elastic because we now can produce all kinds of live theater that allows for the imagination to go crazy. But it still has to have, in a sense, a closed form. And so for the actor, the unique challenge is within this closed form, I have to use everything at my power to communicate that back and forth with the audience in the moment. And as a playwright, I need to write the kinds of stories that feel as if they are unfolding in the moment. Because, to just use film and television as a contrast, we as an audience member just already know that it's done. It's done, it's in the can. We are much more passive, it seems to me, about what we're experiencing, okay? But, and it's very difficult, I'm sure you would agree, it's very, very difficult for television comedies, for instance, to get us to laugh out loud from our sofa. When I do laugh out loud, boy, that is an achievement. I might be laughing in here, right? And I love television comedy, but it's very rare that you find yourself, well, why is that? Because you're usually not in a communal space, And we all know, those of you, those of us who are in the theater know that if you are doing a comedy with a very small audience, it's tricky because laughter is contagious, right? And so I think that those kinds of constraints are thrilling to write to, because you really have to keep telling yourself, what is on the page that is going to make the audience feel like they're living through this in the moment. Well, I am kind of an interesting member of the Alliance for LA Playwrights because I live on the East Coast, and the reason I became involved was because, number one, I'm a member of the Dramatists Guild as a playwright, and therefore I would get all kinds of communications from different organizations, as one does if you're a member of the Guild. And so I kept hearing about things that were happening at ALAP. And as it happened, I was writing a play that was set in Los Angeles, set in Hollywood actually, that won an award and then got a reading on the West Coast. And I thought to myself, I should really know more about that particular theater community. And happily, when I, became a member, that's exactly what happened, is that I really, immersed myself in getting to know the members, getting to know, the very, very singular character of Los Angeles area theater. And it's been a wonderful experience for me. And that's why I became involved as a committee member, too, because I just have felt a real kind of kinship with those colleagues. The Alliance for Los Angeles Playwrights is, in fact, a member-driven, nonprofit organization. And it really is an organization that is there to support the dramatist, the playwright, in all kinds of ways. So they have a database, for instance, where you can not only list your work, but you can also find people who might be interested in participating in formal or informal readings. There are monthly kind of get-togethers, obviously Zoom based at this point, for the exchange of ideas, and they have terrific guests who come in and chat all on a particular theme. And so they're really devoted to the ALAP is really an organization that, as I say, is completely devoted to supporting each other, playwrights supporting each other, and in whatever way we can do that, whether it's creatively, professionally, or otherwise. So the Alliance of Los Angeles Playwrights Fall Festival, which is now called PANDRAMATICA. Every year we try to come up with a different name. And I think that's a perfect one, don't you? Trying to put a positive spin on a pan anything at this point. But it also has a double meaning. It's a 2-day event that is happening on Saturday, October 9th and Sunday, October 10th, all on Zoom. And it is a free event, not only to members, but to the entire world. And in fact, last year when we had Drama Pajama, which was the name of the festival, we had participants from other countries and all around this country. It is a chance for the membership to really convene on issues, topics, and activities that are mutually beneficial in a real concentrated way. And so there are panel discussions, there's a keynote speaker, there are members-only events, such as there's something called a producer playwright director exchange, where if you know Zoom, you can go into breakout rooms and kind of pitch your project with people, get to know one another. And then they had a 10-minute play competition, which the results of which are in, and there'll be readings of those plays on Sunday. The thing that I think is most exciting for me, well, first of all, I won one of the slots on the play festival, so you can hear a reading of my play on Sunday. But more importantly, as I say, because I was on the planning of this committee, along with the very committed members of the board and other members, volunteer members, is that they really see this as Los Angeles theater opening up their treasure trove of resources and brain power and creative power to anyone who's interested in dipping into this. And I think that's very exciting, because then we get that cross-pollination that goes on that is one of the unintended benefits of Zoom, but I think it is a good one, that you can communicate back and forth with all kinds of people. Well, I'm going to be participating in all the events because obviously I'm a dedicated member, and the reason I'm a member is because I find all of these events really exciting. And I really do look forward to listening to, there's a panel on marketing. So again, I think it's a brilliant topic at this time in our creative life when playwrights have to understand how they cut through the clutter and get their plays known and produced and so forth. That's going to be very interesting to me. And the panelists are all people who are actively involved in theater marketing. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from those experts on things that I am not an expert on. So I think that's pretty exciting. And then at the end of the whole thing, there's a virtual cocktail party. And that's just going to be fun because you get to sort of, after everything has been said and done, you can talk about what your favorite part of that event was. But yes, you're right. The other thing I do have to say is I'm very excited to hear my 10-minute play performed along with 5 others. There were only 5 slots, but there was a tie. So there'll actually be 6 plays that'll be read on Sunday. What I hope that people get out of the event when they dip into it is, again, that whack on the side of the head that says, I've been kicking this thing around in my head, and somebody during this event either answered my question or unlodged what was stuck in my creative brain. This is what I got from it last year, was that there were certain things that people would say during these panel discussions and other exchanges where I would suddenly say, that's what I was hoping to do. That's what I needed to hear. The keynote is often a really great place for that as well, because the keynoter is somebody who is there to inspire you and get your juices flowing, and I should mention that our keynote address is Luis Alfaro, who is a performer and playwright. And so what I hope to get out of, and I hope everybody does, Luis is somebody who is in it. And it's so wonderful to have an exclusive time to listen to somebody who is actually in it and working in it in the present to give you a real sense of what the landscape is. So the way that people can participate, and again, to give you a little bit more of the nuts and bolts, it is Saturday, October 9th and Sunday, October 10th. And Saturday's events that are open to everybody begins at 1:30, and that's a panel on dialogue. And then Sunday, what's open to everyone is the keynote address, which starts at 11:30 in the morning, and then a panel on marketing, and then the play readings. And so those are all the open events. It's one Zoom address, and you get it, and you can click onto it, each day. You can click on to whatever event you may like to have. And my best advice is there's a link off of the ALAP website. And so the best way to do it is to go to laplaywrights.org. And there's a link that you can then sign up. And all you need to sign up, you don't have to be a member, and it is free. There's just a sign up saying who you are, put your name and probably your email address. And then they'll ask you if you want to become a member, and you can decide then. Or you can decide once you see the value of being a member. For those members who had planned to attend the festival, I would suggest that here are the things that would really intrigue them that you can only do if you're a member. And one of them is called the Producer-Director Playwright Exchange, where people have time to meet each other and pitch their projects. And then there's also something called the Playpen. And this is a creative environment for members, and they have to, it's already kind of arranged because members were sent out a note saying if they wanted to participate because there's a limited time. But that's a creative kind of cauldron where a playwright can take a script and work with some actors privately, again via Zoom, sponsored by ALAP. So it's basically a free creative space and time. So I think that is a particular interest to members, and I hope they dip into that as well. If you are a theater professional of any kind, but particularly playwrights, directors, and actors, as I say, as a member of ALAP, what one would be able to do is have some of these members-only opportunities, such as this exchange where you can say, look, I've just, as a playwright, you can say, I've just completed a script on such and such, you know, and you can get it out there to various production entities, various directors, to just create either formal or informal alliances that might result in a workshop or even a production. So I'm very much a pragmatist. I really do think that as much as I've been talking about the theory and the ideas and the whack on the side of the head, I think the other value that I can't stress enough as a playwright is the opportunities to be in the same room, whether virtual or real, with working professionals talking about your work in that kind of environment is rare and beyond valuable. It's just absolutely critical, and it's very hard to do in this fragmented world. And so I think anytime you can have professionals in an organization that's dedicated to that exchange, take advantage of it, because we're all trying to get our stuff produced. ALAP needs the support of the community at large in every way. The members need to be active, and obviously it's a nonprofit organization, and there are also various opportunities where they provide some fellowships and grants and work with other area organizations to provide opportunities. So it's not just, you know, for people who are kind of established. In fact, I would think that one of the main mandates that ALAP has is to seed the landscape and find those people who are interested in being playwrights, or who are at the very beginning of what might be a promising career, and to create an atmosphere, as I say, that is completely an atmosphere of support and trust. You know, the other thing that I'll just add sometimes is that, you know, that in the theater, we're all competitors, right? And so, you know, actors can be very, very competitive at an audition, but I also believe, as an actor as well as a playwright, that we are probably also the most supportive of each other once you get the gig. You know, I very rarely see anybody who begrudges a talented actor their getting a job. And I think it's exactly the same thing in the playwriting world. And ALAP is a great example of that, where, yes, if there was, you know, a competition for one slot at one regional theater, and we're all trying to get that slot, well, of course, that's the name of the game. That's the way the theater works. But it's important for the community to know that there's this resource of creative people who are not, within the confines of ALAP, who are not competing in any kind of difficult way, but are actually being mutually supportive and reaching out to the community. This is Greg Jones Ellis, playwright, actor, and proud member of the Alliance of LA Playwrights, or ALAP, and I invite you to join us October 9 and 10 for their fall festival, PANDRAMATICA. It's free, and it is open to everyone in the world via Zoom. So if you'd like to join us, please click on the link, and we hope to see you there.